Hi guys, in this video we're going to be looking at how do we find the greatest common factor. So before, in the last video, we looked at when I have a monomial that's being multiplied by a polynomial, you distribute. But let's say we wanted to go backwards. So let's say that they gave us something like this and they asked me to go back. So what did we start with? What did we end up multiplying? So that's what we're looking at here. How do I get to this point? How do I figure out what did we start with that we distributed? And that's what we're going to be looking at today. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at our first example. In our first example, we're going to make a tree diagram to figure out what is the greatest common factor of these things. So here we have, this could be 8 times 3. 8 is 4 times 2, and 4 is a 2 times 2. 32 is 16 times 2, 16 is 8 times 2, and 8 is 4 times 2, and 4 is 2 times 2. So what am I going to do? I'm going to write these are called a prime tree. You should have learned probably in 6th grade how to do these. We're going to write down all the factors that they have. So 24 has factors of 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. So all I did is I went to the very bottom of my tree and I got those numbers. Same thing over here. I'm going to go to the very bottom of my tree and get all those numbers. So 32 is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. And if you notice, I kind of try to pair them up together so I could kind of see what their similarities were. So right away I noticed that both of these have a 2 by 2 by 2. So I'm going to say, okay, what is 2 times 2 times 2? 2 times 2 is 4, and 4 times 2 is 8. So I have just found what are both of these divisible by. What this means is I can divide 24 by 8, and I can also divide 32 by 8 and get a whole number. So let's see, is that true? Well, let's see. 24 divided by 8, I know that's 3, and 32 divided by 8 is going to be 4. So are they both divisible by 8? Yes, they are. I have now found that the greatest common factor, or what both of these are divisible by, is 8. That's the biggest number I can divide both of these by. Okay, so how do we apply this in a monomial or polynomial kind of situation? Let's take a look. Okay, so in this one, they want us to find the greatest common factor. So right away I think, okay, what is 6 divisible by that 8 is also divisible by and 14 is also divisible by? Now I can do this in my head once I become good at it. If you still need to do that little tree, that's fine. It should help you either way. So right away I see that 6 is divisible by 2, so is 8, and so is 14. So I'm going to say that the greatest common factor of the coefficients, which is the number in front, is going to be 2. And now I need to look at the variables. Well, you're probably thinking like, well, what do you mean? How do I divide variables? Well, basically, what is the highest degree? So the smallest variable of the highest degree that I can take out. So right away I see, okay, n is the smallest. So can I take out an n from here? Yes, I can. Can I take out an n from here? Yes, I can. So the greatest common factor I have for those is going to be n, because all of those I can take out an n. So the lowest exponent is going to be both of those. It's going to be, the lowest exponent is 1. So therefore, the what I can take out is going to be 2 and n. I can take out both of those. Okay, so if I was to write this, I would write 2n and then just kind of work from backwards. If I divided 6 by 2, that would be 3. So what do I multiply 2n by to get me to 6n cubed? So 2 times 3, I know that's going to give me 6. n times what is going to give me n cubed? Well, going back to my exponent rules, I know that I need to add something so I could get to 3. Right now there's a 1, so I know that I need to add 2. So they should be multiplying by n squared because the exponents are going to add. Okay, then I'm going to go to the next one. So in the next one, I have 8n squared. So I divided by 2, so I should be multiplying by 4. What can I multiply to get n squared? Well, right now there's an imaginary 1. So n times n should give me n squared. So I should put an n right here. And then I have 14n. So 4 times what? That's going to give me, 2 times 7, I know is going to give me that 14. And I already have the n, so that's as far as I go. Now, the cool thing about this is I can go back and double check my work. So if I wasn't too sure if I'd done this right, I could actually just multiply in. 2n times 3n squared, I know that gives me 6n. I add the exponents. Okay, looks like I did the first one right. Let's do the second one. 2n times 4n, that gives you 8n, and my exponents add. So it looks like I did the second part right. Now let's do the last one. 2n times 7, and that gives you 14n. So I know for sure that I got the greatest common factor out correctly. Okay, and we're not going to do that second one because I think you guys should have gotten the idea. Let's go ahead and take a look at example 3. Same thing, find the greatest common factor. So 24, negative 12, and 16. Right now I'm thinking probably, the first thing I thought was 6, but then I look at 16 and I think, that's not going to work. Okay, so I'm going to just go ahead and do 2. I know 24 is divisible by 2, so is that one. If I divided by 2, I would be ended with 12. I would be left with 6, and I would be left with 8. And right away I see that these are still divisible. So I'm going to go ahead and say maybe 4. Let's see if these are all divisible by 4. 24 is divisible by 4. That gives you 6. 12 is divisible by 4. That gives you, well, it's a negative 12 divided by 4, that's a negative 3. And 16 is also divisible by 4, that's a 4. And right away looking at these don't have anything else I can divide by. So I think I found the greatest number. Again, you could use your tree if it helps. I just did it mentally. So I found that all of these are divisible by 4. That's the biggest number. So right away, I know my greatest common factor is 4. Now I'm going to look for the variables. What's the biggest variable that I can take out? Well, right away, the smallest one is y squared. So since I can take out a y squared from all of these, yep. So since it's y squared and it's 4, that's going to be my greatest common factor. I'm going to take out a 4y squared. So I'm going to write that in the front, and I need to figure out what am I multiplying here, right? So okay, I divided 24 by 4. So 24 divided by 4 is 6. And what else? Y squared, I need to make it y to the 5th. So I need to add 3 more, so that would be y cubed. So I have 4y squared. Okay, 6y cubed. Let's go to the next one. I know it's a negative because this is a negative 12. I divided it by 4, so that's going to be negative 3. I took out y squared, so I just need one more y to make this a y cubed. Okay, let's do the last one. 16 was divided by 4. That gives me 4. Y squared times what to give you y squared? Well, that's just y. I mean, nothing. So then we're done. We have 4y squared times 6y cubed minus 3y plus 4. And again, if you wanted to be absolutely sure that you got it right, you could just distribute it in and make sure that you got the right answer. And that's it for this, guys.